Now again, if I'm a left-handed shooter, I've got a good solid grip on this firearm with my left hand, my master grip. For most semi-automatic pistols, our magazine release is on the left-hand side of the firearm, which means I will probably use my trigger finger to activate that magazine release so that I can do a good setup. So again, I'm going to use my trigger finger to press that magazine release, and as I press that magazine release, you'll notice that the magazine spits out for me. So now that I have that out, I can work on setting up my magazine. So now to set up my mag, what I'm going to do is, as a left-handed shooter, you'll notice I put that magazine in my right hand, and you'll notice I put it so that my thumb, I'm down at the base of my knuckle there on my thumb, so that my thumb can come over the top and make this motion. Because my thumb is what's going to do most of the loading process for me. Now with my left hand, I'm going to grab the bullet by the tip here with my trigger finger and my thumb. And you'll notice I'm not grabbing way down the bullet, I'm right at the tip of it. I don't want to be like this. That's going to get in the way of my thumb. So I want to be back here right at the tip. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back of the bullet, I'm going to put it right in front of these two lips that are on my magazine. So I've got the two lips on my magazine. I want to put this bullet right in front. I'm going to use my thumb to press down and pull that bullet back into place. And now you'll notice those two lips are now holding the bullet in the magazine. So again, to load more rounds, I'm just going to pinch with my trigger finger and thumb of my left hand, put it in front of those two lips, and then I'm just going to simply pull down and back and get it into place there. Now I've got my magazine set up. Now that I have my magazine set up, it's time to do my ammo insert. So my ammo obviously is in my magazine. So what I'm going to do is I want to find that magazine well. I want to make sure that I've got that magazine well lined up with my magazine. So I'm going to put the magazine into the magazine well, and as I insert it, I want to push it till I hear a click. Something like that. So I've got a click in there. Now here's a tip for you to make sure that you've got it in place. We like to give what's called a tap tug. So as I'm inserting my magazine, you'll notice I'm keeping my finger off the trigger. I'm going to come into that magazine well, and I want to just insert it until I get a click. A way to know that you got a click is to give it a tap, tug, to make sure that it's in place. So I tap it to make sure it's in place, and then I give it a little tug to make sure that it's securely locked in place there. And that's how I want to insert my ammo. So ammo insert. Now that I have my ammo inserted, it's time to fully rack the slide. And what we mean by fully racking the slide is to make sure that this slide gets pulled all the way to the rear, and then we let go of it. The reason why it's important we pull it all the way to the rear is when we pull on this slide, we're compressing this spring up front here. This spring is what's responsible for loading the round into the chamber from your magazine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a nice full rack. And the way I want to do this is I want to take the meat of my right hand, I'm going to put it right here on the right side of the slide, and I'm going to wrap my fingers around so that I've got them over the other side. And you'll notice if I do it correctly, I've actually got a little gap in here. That's how I want to be holding this. I want a little gap in there. So to rack the slide, I now have to do one of two things or a combination. I either push forward with my left hand, I pull back with my right hand, or I do a combination to get it pulled all the way to the rear. Now you'll notice I have it pulled all the way to the rear here. You don't have to hold it like this. I'm only holding it this way to demonstrate that I've got it as far to the rear as it'll go. Now what I want to do is let go. So I simply get my hand and let go. I don't want to try to ease the slide forward. A lot of people say, but this is my baby. I don't want to treat my gun bad. I don't want to let it slam forward and hurt my gun. Guess what happens every time you press the trigger and fire a round? it does this motion. It goes all the way back and slams forward. So you're not hurting the firearm. The firearm is designed for that. However, if you try to do it gently, you can cause problems because the firearm doesn't recognize gentle movements. And if you do this, you'll notice a round's going to spit out here. If you go like this and try to ease it in nice and slow, you can actually cause your round to not fully insert in the chamber, which means you're going to get a malfunction when you go to press the trigger. So it's very important when you do this that you fully rack the slide, let go, and let it go forward. Now, we said that we wanted to ensure that it was ready. So here's how we ensure. We want to do what's called a press check. You check to make sure you have a round in the chamber.